It's 9 p.m. on the East Coast of America, and live from the WACA studios, this is Good Night. In the news today, a college administration scandal is rocking the nation as many prominent actors and actresses are being charged with felonies. The full extent of the scandal has yet to shake out, but the children of these wealthy families were accepted to Ivy and sub-Ivy League schools on different bribes to different members of the school's administration and standardized test administrators. Hilariously, one of the accused parents' children found out about the news while partying on a yacht to a trustee off of her school. Now, this was apparently news to a lot of Americans. Rich people paying to get their kids into school. The kids not getting in on their own merits? Impossible. But ask any college student and they'll tell you stories about the kids showing up to 2 classes in their Gucci t-shirts and somehow still getting an A. It's nothing new, and it's nothing that colleges have tried to hide. Why these parents use bribe money through a faux charity to forge documents and have experts take SAT for their kids, the scandal has also brought up some other aspects of college administration that are none too popular. Legacy admissions, once again, enter the conversation because nothing says academically qualified like containing the same DNA as an alumni. Colleges are, by large, are not getting hit with legal fines, instead doing damage control by firing anyone involved in the scandal. Those people usually being athletic directors. Students, however, aren't buying it. 2 students at Stanford, one of the affected schools, have already filed class action lawsuits against the universities named in the scandal. And there's sure to be more on the way in the wake of the common knowledge conspiracy. New York Giants star Odell Beckham Jr. has been traded to the Cleveland Browns in a trade that is shaking up the NFL. The star, who had just signed an extension with his former team, reneged on it, and it has the Giants fans in a mood. The ceremonial burning of jerseys and hate tweets has commenced and will most likely end up as things that usually do, with an expensive jersey being banned from Twitter. Beckham Jr. himself took to Instagram to give a heartfelt goodbye to New York. The Giants haven't been doing so well in the regular season, opting to release the majority of their former roster and rebuild from the ground up. Whatever way you look at it, it's a tough time for the 7 Giants fans out there. In social media news, you might have noticed yesterday that you couldn't log into your Facebook or Instagram. Turns out you didn't forget your password, but Facebook services were down for almost the entire day. People expectedly took to Twitter to vent their frustrations over the fact they couldn't see what their friends were having for lunch. Facebook, rather ironically, sent out a tweet telling everyone that they're working on it. We actually have a picture of the incident, and surprisingly, it was Mark Zuckerberg himself that sent out the tweet. As you can see, he wasn't very happy about it. This whole outage also lends credence to some politicians and media personalities' calls to break up Facebook and its family of apps. Elizabeth Warren has proposed bills to decentralize big tech companies because of the effects an outage like this can have. In party science news, new details are being revealed about Stonehenge and what it was used for in its day. Its day being 4,500 years ago, and what was it used for? Apparently being parties. According to Discover magazine, people have known that Stonehenge and other similar sites were gathering spots for communities in the age, but scientists have recently conducted tests on pig remains in the area and found something a little different. As it turns out, the pig diets match many different diets from all over the island of Great Britain. The scientists have concluded that many different communities of people would travel from Wales, Scotland, and other distant on-land locations to places like Stonehenge to party. And they all brought pigs. It's like when you stop to get a bottle of wine on your way to that work party you really don't want to go to, only in this case, you don't have to carry a pig instead of yellowtail, and instead of driving for 30 minutes, you're walking hundreds of miles. Either way, the discovery has shown that not only did Neolithic people travel a good amount, they also knew how to party. Now in cheese news, the results of an 8-month experiment have been released. Swiss researchers subjected 8 different wheels of cheese to different types of music to see what the effects of the music would have. Led Zeppelin, Mozart, A Tribe Called Quest were among the artists used in a blind taste test. The wheel that was subjected to hip-hop was overwhelmingly picked as the best tasting. This only proves that supermarkets should be playing Kendrick Lamar from now on because it would make the shopping experience bearable and the food better. Maybe Starbucks should start playing hip-hop to see if it makes their coffee decent. I have some logistical questions about the study though, like did they put headphones on the cheese or did they just put the cheese in a room with a speaker? Could the songs have been something different to do with it? Like I love Led Zeppelin, but were they really the best choice for aged cheese? Maybe some Beatles or Queen would have been the cheese of a richer flavor. Either way, we know that hip-hop should be the go-to soundtrack in food production. Just watch out for angry suburban moms boycotting hip-hop cheese. Now, last episode, we had a bit during the news about Australia and how crazy it was. We talked about a viral video with a guy ripping a snake out of his pants in a recent dinosaur discovery down under. We didn't think we'd be reporting on crazy Australian news 3 times this week, but here we are. In Australian news today, a man is thanking Apple for saving his life after his phone shielded him from an arrow. A Nimbin man was under fire from an assailant using a bow and arrow at his house. The victim attempted to take a picture of the crazed archer, and the arrow went through his phone while he was holding it in front of his face. The arrow had only slightly pierced the phone and saved the victim's lives. Now, there's a lot to unpack here. How did a disagreement get this out of hand? Why was the assailant's weapon of choice a bow and arrow? Why was the victim's instinct to take a picture of the man firing arrows in his general direction? I firmly believe the answer to these questions can be chalked up to because it's Australia. But the answers are up for debate. And finally, it's Pie Day today, and our crew decided to celebrate. Check out this video to see the office's favorite flavors and how they enjoy the holiday.
Hey Connor, I have an idea for tonight's bit.
Yeah, what is it?
So you know how today is Pie Day? We should do something with that.
Yeah, we could like the cereal day or something. We could ask everybody what their favorite pies are and everything.
Maybe.
Or we could see how many digits of pi everybody knows. I know a fair amount. Ready?
No.
3.14159.
Wait, what if we pie Todd in the face?
I like that.
But I'm just not sure, like, we need some kind of build-up around it. I mean, we just can't go around.
We don't need it.
Are you sure?
No, we don't.
Positive?
A pie in the face is funny enough. I could slow motion it in the edit and it'll be hilarious.
Alright, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Alright.
Yo, Todd, do you want to come here for a sec?
Yo, what's up?
We're just going to discuss something for a bit, and we just need you to come here.
Oh, is it about Pie Day?
Yeah.
I got real quick. Are we gonna ask people about their favorite pies?
No, just come here. We'll talk about it.
All right. What's up with the plastic trash bags on the floor, though?
There's a leak in the ceiling.
Oh, okay. Shouldn't I go call a plumber? Something like
No,
that?
no, no. I already called the plumber. Just come here.
Oh, all right. But what about the bit?
What are you talking about? This was the bit.
Parasol, won't you let me see my friends? Won't you let me see them wherever they have the sun? Parasol, won't you help me understand? Won't you help me find out where the hell they want the sun? Ooh.
Welcome back to Good Night. I'm John Featherston, your host. We're joined on the phone by Marty Lamb, the former chairman of the Tank the Gas Tax PAC. And the reason why we invited Marty on the program tonight is because Speaker DeLeo's up to it again. He went to a Chamber of Commerce meeting on Tuesday morning and talked about raising the gas tax again. And there's no better expert than Marty Lamb to talk about it. Hey, good evening, Marty. Thanks for joining us here on Good Night.
Oh, good evening, John. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here, and you've got to be as frustrated as probably many of the voters are. Back in 2014, the voters very handedly voted down raising the gas tax, but Speaker DeLeo's never met a tax increase he doesn't like, so he's thinking about it again. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. As the expression goes, deja vu all over again. To bring everyone up to speed, what he's proposing is not just voting in a gas tax increase, which the legislature has the right and ability to do, and seeing that DeLeo has a supermajority, all he has to do is snap his fingers and it's a done deal. But what they did the last time and what he's proposing this time is, within that bill, is that the tax would go up every year, tied to inflation for the rest of eternity, which basically is taxation, not representation.
Right.
And as you were just saying, 2014 they actually enacted that tax, and we had a ballot initiative. And John, you were out there in the trenches, getting signatures, rallying the troops to fight against that, in favor of the ballot initiative to drop that tax. The people came out in force. And I'm not just talking about Republicans and conservatives. This was across the board where people were saying whether they favor more taxes or favor less taxes. They were saying, we want our legislators to be on the record. If you're going to vote for a tax increase, vote for it and be accountable to the constituents each and every year when you vote.
Well, I think that's important, and as you so eloquently said, either side of the aisle that you come down on, you want people to stand behind their votes. You want to know how they feel, and if this is all done behind closed doors and done in perpetuity, I mean, how can that be a transparent system? And in a week of Sunday, go ahead.
Yeah, down the road, you can have a state rep or state senator, shrugging their shoulders and saying, I didn't vote for it. It was before my time. Be accountable. I'm a conservative, fiscal conservative. I believe in lower taxes, and we can go on and on and on and explain why the gas tax really doesn't even go to the road, to the general slush fund, and how DeLeo, who just gave himself in the legislature a massive pay raise, now is crying we need more money. Leaving that aside, I was talking to hardcore, progressive, left, leaning socialist friends of mine who said, they favor a gas tax increase because, we want to get people to stop driving and stop using fuel. But then they said, but I'm in favor of repealing that automatic increase because I want to be able to see a vote if we're going to raise taxes.
Well, isn't it kind of the backbone of the history of America, the fight against taxation without representation?
Bingo. That's exactly what it's all about.
So I guess my next logical question to that is, and my question is to Marty Lamb, our guest, but it's also directed at Speaker DeLeo. The state of Massachusetts ran a surplus last year. Why do we need to raise taxes?
That's a good point. I wish I had an answer because I would say we don't. If anything, we don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. And again, massive state increases that the legislature voted for themselves. And I'm not just talking 5%, 10%. Speaker DeLeo, and don't quote me on the number because I don't know the exact number, but I think it is pretty much double his pay. So, and he's crying that we need to tax the people. A gas tax is the most regressive tax you can imagine. It's not something that hits the Hummer driver alone. It hurts the average person who works for a living, who has to commute to and from work, who goes to the supermarket? How do the groceries get to the shelf of the supermarket? They go in a truck. The truck uses diesel fuel, gas. And if the tax goes up on that, the food prices go up on the shelf. It's truly regressive tax. It hurts the lowest income more than the highest income.
I was just going to mention that it affects lower income people so much more, and the cost is always passed along to the consumer. And you talk to people now who commute from the Metro West area into Boston every day, and everybody complains about the traffic, and the traffic is horrible. It's a terrible, if you're commuting from the Metro West area into Boston, it's terrible. But it's also a good sign that people are working, that people are have jobs. So it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. But now what you're going to do is you're going to start taxing people more, and what's going to happen? It's common economics. There's going to be job cuts. There's going to be because who's going to absorb it?
And like I said, grocery prices go up because our goods that we buy, the loaf of bread, the gallon of milk that we go to feed our kids, our pet, it comes into the store on a truck. It's not as if you're taxing the rich. It's just ridiculous. And I think an important point that always gets swept under the rug, and I'm looking back at 2014. I don't know this year's statistics, but I know 2014 when we had the repeal, I believe Massachusetts was paying 6 times per mile what New Hampshire paid for road maintenance. And then they argued, the people in favor of the tax, well, it goes to our roads, the bridges and roads. Every other year it's the children. This year it's the road.
Well,
but if you look at how that money is spent, yes, truly in a budget year, if $8 is allocated to a certain item, such as roads, it's supposed to be spent for that. But if it isn't spent in that fiscal year, it goes into the general fund.
Right.
And the legislature plays games with that, where they don't spend the current year, they pull funds from other sources, and they roll that money into the general fund to do as they please.
Well, we're speaking with Marty Lamb, and I would throw out a challenge to anybody watching the program tonight or watching this later. Good luck driving down Route 9, the Mass Turnpike, 128, 93, and not hitting a pothole, too. So let's not sit there and say just because we pay 6 times more than anybody else pays that we have better roads, because you can cross right over into New Hampshire and find that they have the same winter that we have, maybe even a little bit worse. And their roads are a lot better shape than ours are. So where's the money going? Where?
The money goes into whatever spending project they have, the cause du jour, and they'll come up with these projects, and you can list thousands of them, whether it be the rail trail or name a pet project. Cylinders long over. Was the other one that's solar place to develop Patrick all the money into? They went belly up. And then after they spend on these projects, then they start crying, saying, but we need it for the children, for the roads and bridges.
Well,
again, we have a spending problem. It's where they allocate and spend the money, and then they come crying to us that they need more.
Well, let's rewind back to the year 2014, and everybody says you can't fight City Hall, but you, Jeff Deal, and a lot of people that I know, and Sean O'Connell.
Our friend Desiree out of Worcester. We were all out there. It was a grassroots movement. Yeah.
And everybody said it couldn't be done, that we couldn't defeat it. The Democrats had a lot of money behind it. They had
Barbara Anderson, they got that control.
Right.
Citizens for Limited Taxation told Jeff Deal that this would be a killer for his career if he went forward with this repeal, but it would never happen. She was wrong. All of his colleagues said, you're getting into something that's going to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
But it ended up that, again, grassroots people were out there, average men and women on the street holding signs, knocking on doors, getting signatures. Not a single signature was paid for, which is the first ballot initiative in Massachusetts that happened since the, I think it was in the 80s when the dog track ballot issue, getting rid of the dog track in Massachusetts was done. Everybody else pays for all these ballot questions. They paid the signatures.
Right.
We did it all, we collectively, not me, you, me, everybody listening, we did it collectively without spending a dollar for signatures. And then we were outspent, I believe it was 31 to 1
Right.
on special interest money fighting to keep the debt. It was the engineers, the architects, the concrete companies that were spending millions to fight us. They wanted the tax. And the unions, of course.
Of course. Well, let's talk about it because it was a great story. Then candidate for governor Charlie Baker, now current governor Charlie Baker, totally supported it and
Yes, he did, absolutely.
and campaigned
He came out
for it.
very strongly in favor of the bus.
And campaigned strongly for it. So now I guess the question I have to ask to the current legislature is, why is the vote of the people so often overturned? Years ago, when they reduced the vote was to reduce the sales tax, the legislature said, nope, we know more than you do, and we won't honor the people's vote. Even the marijuana vote, no matter where you came down on the marijuana vote this past election cycle, you can't say that you got what you voted for. If you were pro, you didn't get what you voted for, and if you were anti, you didn't get what you voted for. And now Speaker DeLeo is talking about, raising the gas tax again. Are we losing
Well,
our
I
are
think
we
you
losing
said
our
it.
ability at the polls to make change?
I think you said it perfectly. In what you were just saying, they think they know better. They're better than us, and we don't matter. And it's all a power thing.
We got a problem then.
Their own power. It's interesting. Jim Lyons, the new chair of the Mass GOP, saw him speak a couple of times in the past week, and he talks about a time when, give an example of the power on Beacon Hill, where he had just spoken about an amendment to a bill where he was proposing $25 million of funds go towards the cities and towns for local aid. And as he's walking away, he sees there's a big board. When the state reps vote in the chamber, the board does a red light or a green light. Green means yes, red means nay. And he's seeing all of the lights turning to green.
Mm-hmm.
He's chatting with his colleagues saying, what's happening? And he said, well, maybe they weren't listening. And he sees the green, green, green. Then he sees the Speaker of the House's light go red. And then within seconds, boom, 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 all of the votes turn red to negative.
Can't make it up.
Listen, they don't care. The Speaker says do this, they do this.
And that's the way it's been for a long, long time.
Right.
People say that, Karen Spilka, Charlie Baker. No, it's DeLeo's way. It seems like right now. And
and every budget since Charlie Baker has been governor, he's vetoed massive line items of taxes in the budget, of spending in the budget. Every single veto has been overridden by the supermajority of the Democrats in the House.
Yep, Governor Baker has vetoed a lot of line items.
He can't do a damn thing because it's a supermajority, and he's making a statement on our behalf. Yeah.
So what do we need to do? What do we need to do in the next couple days and weeks if this does become true? Do we reassemble the team and we start the signature drive again? What do we do?
I'm afraid it may come down to that. We have to watch what he's doing. Maybe start calling our state reps and state senators and say, hell no. We voted against it once before. We're going to be out on the streets. Don't tempt us. We will take to the streets and fight it. We gave our opinion once, and we'll give it again. I know sometimes people will run scared when they think there's going to be that much opposition. DeLeo and Spilka run the state. Pure and simple, as we just governor can't sustain a veto, and we need to just put the pressure on. but hopefully word gets up right now. Otherwise, we could be out there, you and me out by Market Basket in Ashland getting signatures.
Well, I think we have to. And you know what, though, Marty? I think it'll actually be easier this time, and and that's
Oh,
a
absolutely.
message to everybody, because we don't have to educate people as much on this. I mean, we'll have to
Right.
re-educate, but taxation without representation. If you are an American, you've got to be mad about this. You've got to be mad about
Yeah,
this.
absolutely, and especially when we made our voices clear once before. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives. It wasn't a partisan issue. It was a people's issue. Again, the taxation without representation.
Well, you brought up Jim Lyons a little bit earlier. He is a former state rep and has just taken over the Mass GOP. Jeff Deal, who just ran unsuccessfully to defeat Elizabeth Warren. I imagine they're going to be, I've seen some blurbs from Jeff speaking out against it. I'm sure Jim Lyons is going to come out and speak strongly out against it as well. Have you heard any other chatter from any members of the state reps?
Again, this is hitting the news just now. I have heard that Jeff has been on the radio. Howie Carr, Jeff Spooner, he has been speaking about this. We may have to reactivate Mass Taxpayers' Best Ally, the MTBA that we sort of put together after the gas tax issue to educate people about taxes. Jim Lyons, I haven't spoken to about this particular issue, but knowing him fairly well, I think he's going to be dead set against this type of tax. I think he'll lead the Mass GOP in a direction that fights it, and fights it very vocally. I think all of I can speak for the caucus of the Republicans, but my belief is they're all going to oppose this. And unfortunately, it may come down to if the wheel does go forward, it will be a straight partisan vote.
But I also think this issue is going to be just much more than one party. I think it's it's like you mentioned, it's going to be working families, it's going to be low income families. This is
No. I'm talking about Beacon Hill.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, 100%.
DeLeo and Spilka will tell their caucuses how to go.
Right.
Charlie Baker, the governor, will veto it,
Correct.
and then they'll override his veto.
And then we'll man the streets. Hey, Marty Lamb, thanks for joining us here on Good Night, talking about this important subject. And Marty, I just want to leave you with one thing. Don't be discouraged, because at the end of the day, it is Pie Day, and we can always eat pie,
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Sean.
Thanks again, Marty. Marty Lamb joining us here on Good Night. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. But then while we're gone, have a little pie.
Mother Teresa once said, "If you want to change the world, go home and love your family." Because changing the world starts with changing yourself and working outward from there. We're in Rotary because we want to take action in our communities and around the world. But to change the world, we have to start at home by making the changes we need in our organization to ensure that we will remain both relevant and vibrant for many years to come. To serve our communities well, we need to represent our communities in terms of age, gender, ethnicity, and background. We need to start reaching out to people who might not know about Rotary or might not understand what Rotary membership entails. To do that effectively, we need to work on strengthening our public image through our presence on social media and by holding Rotary Days, free, outward-facing community events that showcase who we are and what we do. Let's show the world how we are people of action. We also need to start working much harder to bring Rotaract closer to Rotary. Today we have 250,000 Rotaractors in about 10,000 clubs. 27% of Rotary clubs have sponsored a Rotaract club. I want to see those numbers double with new Rotaract clubs that are community-based. And I want the natural path out of Rotaract to lead into a Rotary club bringing in the diversity, the energy, and the new ideas that Rotary needs. Work together. Have service projects together. Sponsor a new club if you haven't done it yet. Treat Rotaractors as younger colleagues, not as interns, and show them everything that Rotary has to offer, the opportunities that have shaped each of us in Rotary and helped all of us to be the inspiration.
And we're back here on Good Night. I want to say special thanks to the Velvet Ants, to all the pie makers out there on this very special day known as Pie Day. Also want to thank Marty Lamb to come in and talk about tanking the gas tax once again here in Massachusetts. And that's going to wrap it for another edition of Good Night. We'll be back live on Monday night, 9 p.m., streaming across the web and all around the world. And we just want to let you know, have some pie and good night.